Welcome to my family culture show and tell by me, Meggie Walling. Culture. Culture is a system of beliefs, values, and assumptions about life that guides our total behavior. These beliefs and values are transmitted from generation to generation. So, in order to understand my culture, it's equally as important to know where I came from. So let's start with my Fraser side. This is my mommy Millie. She's my dad's mom. And then I have my Walling side, and that's Daddy Bob. He's my dad's dad. And now we shift over to my mom's side. This is the Edelmans, and that's Popo. He's my mom's dad. And then we have the Fader side. That's Dot. And this is my mom's mom. These are the four sides of my family that make up me. This cute little sweet old angel, Meggie Walling. So let's start with the Fraser side. Our journey begins in 1790. In 1790, the Frasers were in Scotland, right here. And then in 1814, they found their way from Scotland and sailed their way to good old Darien, Georgia. Now let's move on to the Walling side. Now the Wallings were also from Scotland, but more right about there, toward the southern side. Starting in 1835, the Walling side sailed all the way from southern Scotland and found their way to Charleston, South Carolina. Now that we're done with my dad's side, let's move on to my mom's, the Edelman side, and their journey starts in 1880, where they were in Kiev, Ukraine. Where in 1894, they packed up all of their things and sailed to the Bronx, New York. Let's move on to my mom's side. We have the Faders. In 1861, in Minsk, Russia, which is now in Belarus. And in 1881, the Faders decide to set sail for Brooklyn, New York. And eventually, everybody found their way to what we now call home, Atlanta and Marietta, Georgia, where then both of my parents met and fell in love. And through that love, there was the birth of their two kids, Meggie and Josh Walling, but mainly the ultra sweet, ultra talented, ultra smart, ultra beautiful, and truly incredible Meggie Walling. So one could say that my origins are Scottish and Eastern European. So one could say that these two origins make up a lot of my values and beliefs. So now we're going to be talking about food and how my cultural influences plays a big part in what I eat today. So when my dad talks about my grandma's cooking, he always talks about her country fried steak. So I decided that I would make some of that today. But instead of your normal eggs and fry oil, I decided I would try to make it as healthy as possible because that is something that is really important to me today and something that I bring into my own cultural influences. And that is healthy eating, clean eating. My mom always recalls my grandma's cooking as mishmash, taking whatever you had available and putting it in a big pot. She got this from the Great Depression era when she was growing up. And I do the same thing, but of course a healthier version with chickpeas and black beans. And I do this almost every day for lunch, and I never realized the influence that her cooking has on my cooking today. And it's even good for cats. And now I stuff my face intensely, which is also a big part of my cultural influence. So now we're going to be talking about my clothing style and how my culture has affected my clothing choices. So from ages 2 to 4, I started off wearing really cute, trendy clothes, and then I started adopting my mom's style because she dressed me, and I started wearing clothes that looked a lot like my brother's. Really baggy and almost unisex style. Mainly because this is what my mom wore. My mom played a big influence on my style growing up. And then, from ages 4 to 6, I was still wearing really baggy clothes with basketball shorts or soccer shorts and just t-shirts, anything that would hide my body. And for holidays, long sleeve, baggy silk tops. I wore this shirt for probably 3 holidays in a row because it was the only thing I ended up feeling comfortable in. And then from ages 10 to 12, my style was still, you guessed it, baggy, with oversized t-shirts and basketball shorts wherever I went. Anything that could honestly hide my curves. I started to hate my hips as I was growing them, and I wanted to hide my body at all costs. Even if I was going out swimming, I would wear all the clothes I could to try and hide most of my body. And then when I got to middle school, popular culture started to influence my clothing style more than anything. I started shopping at American Eagle, Hollister, and Aeropostale. But as my hips started to grow, I realized that the really skinny shirts did not fit me that well. They would show my hips, and I would feel really fat and insecure. So I would always wear my Bermuda shorts, and I would wear them way above my hips. So when I wore the skinny shirts that these stores had, you couldn't see my hips, and I would start to look like every other girl. And this didn't change when I got to high school. I just started wearing jackets over my shirts to hide my hips. I would cross my arms over my hips. When I was in a swimsuit, I would again cross my arms over my hips and to hide my stomach. And like I said, I wore a lot of jackets, anything that would hide what I didn't like about myself, because that's what popular culture taught me. So the research article I chose is Perfect Skin, Pretty Skinny Girls, and Embodied Identities in a Post-Feminist Popular Culture. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is that sexualized images of celebrities and models are claimed to have detrimental or harmful effects for girls and their body image. According to the APA and a task force on the sexualization of girls, it gives detailed attention to the harmful effects of the sexualized popular culture on girls and the embodied sense of self. And this is exactly what I was experiencing in middle school, seeing these images of perfect girls in ads and how I was not one of them. And post-feminist media are characterized by an intense focus on the female body, both as a site of agency and as an object for scrutinizing and harsh gaze. And this is what how I would look at myself all the time. I would look at the mirror and realize I did not look like the girls in the ads. And not only is the contemporary normative body aesthetic slim, white, and young in the post-feminist context, but it is also required to be hot and sexy, which is accentuated by clothing that bears or clings to the curves. And it's why I always wore baggy clothes. And it's also beautification. It can then be understood as an act of empowerment or self-indulgence or taking care of the self, because as L'Oreal successfully claims, you're worth it. And so to me, this article mainly shows how popular culture has signified beautiful women and how that signification has really bad, harmful effects. And because we are subjected to scrutiny and we look at our long list of flaws and that we are not normal because of the popular culture and media. When it came down to music, popular culture played the biggest impact on my personal development. what was around me all the time playing on the radio, what my friends were listening to, played a much larger role in my development than my Eastern European side or my European sides of my family. What I was immersed in was the music that was around me at the time in the early 2000s. Thank you for exploring my life with me and my cultural heritage and my influences on what truly makes me me. It's easy to get lost in who we are in this day and age with constantly working on schoolwork or with technology. This was a really great time to take a step back and observe who I am, who I was, and who I am currently growing to be with the help of